What's going on, guys? Jabran here from Photographers on YouTube with the announcement of the new Nikon D5200. The camera was announced just last night, and right now there's not a lot of information available on the internet on this camera. Matter of fact, Nikon USA does not have this on their website right now, but I was able to find information on the camera on their Australian website, and I also found a lot of sample pictures taken by Nikon friends. So check out my Facebook page. That's where I'm going to post this video, and right under in the comment section I'm going to post those links. So in case you want to look at the sample pictures and really in-depth detail of all the features, check out those links. All right, so like always, I'm going to talk about some of the good stuff about the camera, some of the bad stuff about the camera. I am a Nikon shooter, but there are some things that I don't like, and I'll share my thoughts with you, and then you guys can tell me what you think. All right, so 24 megapixel, which is pretty much standard. D3200 came out with it. D600 came out with 24, and now the 5200 has 24 megapixel. So I personally don't care for such high megapixel. I do mostly events and portraits, but for people, this is going to cater to people who are into landscape stuff, macro photography, cityscape. So I'm glad it's not higher than 24, because then it really gets out of control. So 24 megapixel is going to give you pretty solid resolution when you're really cropping that. The image is going to maintain that detail. They have adapted the AF system from Nikon D7000, which is 39 focusing point, which in my opinion is a big upgrade, because before that we were using 11 focusing points, and that was my one big complaint about Nikon, was that they really need to upgrade this to at least 21 so people don't have to constantly recompose and do exposure lock. So 39 is pretty solid, especially for an entry-level camera. That's what Nikon is calling this. They're calling this an entry-level DSLR. I do feel there are some features in the camera that are more than entry level. So it could be, like a beginner advanced kind of camera. ISO ranges from 100 to 6400. Just because 6400 number attached to it doesn't mean it's usable. I can tell you this, it's 6400 is not going to be usable ISO. It's there. So I could tell you one thing, it's going to be probably slightly better than D7000 because the trend is that all the new cameras that are coming out, they're pretty much matching the quality of their higher end models. Like the D600 and D3200 also had a pretty solid ISO. So in ISO department, I would say it's going to be slightly better than D7000. Frames per second, it has 5 frames per second, which is not bad for sports. Keep in mind the ISO quality, the quality of ISO depends on if you can really use this for sports photography indoors. For outdoors in natural light, you should not have any problems. And 5 frames per second it's not that bad at all. So for sports, you can use this, but you're going to be limited to most likely in an outdoor setting during daytime, basically. All right, video is pretty much standard. Everyone has full 1080p now, and every new DSLR is rolled out with 60 frames per second for slow motion. So there's not much to talk about video. Very, very similar specs with all the other DSLRs. I'm pretty sure you cannot change your aperture in live view mode, which is understandable. It's not a high-end camera. One thing I really don't like is that it does not have the dedicated buttons, which the entry-level DSLRs don't have. And I was really hoping that, they've upgraded to 39 focusing points, maybe give a dedicated button to change your aperture, your shutter, and ISO. So you will have to press, there's an FN button on the left side of the camera that you have to press to change some of the settings in manual mode. So that's a big thumbs down from me. That's one thing that really prevents you to stay on top of your game when things are really moving fast. If you're photographing kids, or even if you're photographing a small event, your kid's birthday party, you're constantly looking for that button. So not too happy about that. It also does not have the LCD screen, the top LCD screen like D7000 has it. So for you to really see your settings, you would have to look through your viewfinder. I don't recommend people take pictures in live view mode. You could look at your setting in live view mode. I don't recommend that way. So because it doesn't have the LCD screen, you will have to look in the viewfinder to see what your shutter speed is, what your ISO is. So if they added that, it will really take this camera to a whole new level. Some of the basic stuff that they improved on, they're saying it has improved the active D-light, which means that it's going to maintain quality in your shadows and in your highlights. So normally that is achieved through doing HDR, which is your high dynamic range. You take 3 pictures and the camera combines those 3 pictures. So instead of, if the subject is moving, you can't take 3 pictures and combine them. It's not going to align perfectly. So for that, they have basically improved the active D-lighting, where you can take a picture where the background could be really bright, and it will maintain quality in your highlights and in your shadows as well. They're saying it has CLS system. To me, it did not make sense. Did not make much sense. Basically, they're saying the pop-up flash does not work as a commander. You have to attach one of the Nikon flashes, SB 600 or 700, 800, 900, 910, as a master flash, and then it will fire another flash to use it wirelessly. To me, it defeats the whole purpose. You're better off just using triggers. Now, if the pop-up flash would be able to do this, then it's great. If you're traveling, if you're going on vacation and you don't want to carry your triggers, and just in case if you want to do some off-camera flash photography, you can trigger that through your pop-up flash. But in this, it did not state, and I double-checked quite a few times. It clearly says that master flash, which is one of your Nikon flashes, is going to work as the commander, basically, to trigger the wireless flash. So I don't know the whole purpose. I personally use triggers, and that's what I would recommend, that if you want to do off-camera flash photography, use the triggers instead. Viewfinder is 95%, understandable. D7000 is 100%. So what you see in the viewfinder is not what the camera is going to capture. There's going to be you're going to lose basically 5% of it. So not a big deal. Just make a mental note to leave extra room when the picture basically gets cropped. Last thing I want to talk about is the price. I hope there's not a lot of information on price right now, especially in dollars. One website said that the camera with the kit lens is going to be 820 pounds, and it also said that in dollar amount it was they're going to sell it for like just the body only $1,150. I think it's too much for the camera, because D7000, which is a better camera with better features, dedicated dials and buttons, with the top LCD screen, faster shutter speed as well, it's selling for less than $1,150. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know if they're hoping that people look at 24 megapixel and jump after it, thinking D7000 is 16 megapixels, so 24 is better. I don't know how that's going to work out. I hope it's not true, because then I would have to say the camera is overpriced. Real quick, I didn't mention this. The shutter speed is 1/4000 of a second, and if you compare this with D7000, it's 1/8000 of a second. So if you want to shoot wide open, f1.4, f1.8, that could be an issue. I do recommend using ND filters when you want to shoot wide open in a bright sunny day. Some people are going to make a big deal about this 1/4000 of a second. I just wanted to throw out there just so you guys know. Another thing is the flash sync speed. It is 1/200th of a second, not 1/250th of a second like D7000. And D5200 also does not have auto FP feature. Auto FP feature basically allows you to overwrite your high sync speed. So with D7000, I can actually use flash and take pictures at 1/8,000 of a second. With D5200, there is no auto FP feature, so you cannot do that. So there are some pros, there are some cons. Please don't think this is a pro camera. I won't even say this is a semi-pro camera. Semi-pro cameras have to have their own dedicated buttons, you know, LCD on top, so you're basically on top of your game. It also has the LCD screen, the flip LCD screen, which I personally don't care for. If you're a videographer, perhaps that's a, a great feature. I mean, I also have started doing videos. So far, I haven't had the opportunity to really, uh, you know, run into a situation where I really needed that flip screen. Perhaps it's a good feature for some people. All right, so that's pretty much it. If I forgot anything, please remind me, and we can also, you know, discuss that um, through, you know, commenting. Hope all is well. I do plan to get my hands on the camera so I can actually compare this with D7000 and see how it flares out. And so stay tuned for that video. Hope all is well, and I'll talk to you guys soon.